Hey, Georgia, Election Day is Tuesday, January 5th. This time we get to pick our 2 U.S. senators. So take some time, make your plan, and make sure you get to the polls. Remember, who you vote for is a secret, but whether or not you voted is public record. So grab 3 friends or family members and make sure your voice and theirs are heard when you go vote on Tuesday, January 5th. Paid for by Majority Forward.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Jennie Walker, and welcome to Closet Conversations. Today I want to talk to you about the business models of TheRealReal and Poshmark. There's going to be a lot of comparisons between these two companies once Poshmark goes public in 2021, which is their plan. TheRealReal is currently a publicly traded company. They went public in June of 2019. And they got off to a rousing start. The estimates at the IPO range was that the stock would be worth $17 to $19. And on first day of trading, it closed at $28.90. It was up 44.5%, and it looked like things were off to a great start with them. And people want to invest in this market. And now that Poshmark is going to go public, well, all eyes will be on them to see how they do, how they compare to TheRealReal and other people like eBay, et cetera, et cetera. But these are very different models. And I am someone who has been involved with Poshmark for over 7 years. I've been involved on Poshmark as a seller and as a buyer, as someone who's gone to conferences and been very active part of their community. I'm a Poshmark ambassador, and I've hosted Posh and Sips and Posh and Coffees and all that kind of thing. So I'm very engaged with Poshmark, have a very firsthand knowledge of the company, as well as on TheRealReal. I've been shopping with them for 5 years, but also consigning with them the last couple of years, but as a vendor consigner. So that's really interesting as well. So I've got also, for full disclosure, I am a stockholder in TheRealReal and have plans to purchase stock for Poshmark. And just, none of this is stock advice. I am not a professional investment advisor. This is all for entertainment. These are my thoughts, my opinions about what I am going to do. So if you have any thoughts of your own about investing, please seek a professional. So that's my disclaimer. So, yeah, the business models are very, very different. And if you are not close to this, you really don't understand it at first glance. And there's a lot of men in the investment field. It's a male-dominated industry. And there were comments that I read when TheRealReal went public back, in 2019, where some man involved had said he had no idea that there were so many new clothing items that were found in women's closets. Now, we women are just chuckling at that because, shopping is our sport for a lot of people. So there's going to be a lot of people on Wall Street who don't understand, one, fashion from a women's point of view, and certainly the dynamics of buying and selling among women specifically, but probably people in general, because it's not anything they're involved in. So that's something important to remember. Now we go to back to the S-1 filing of TheRealReal, and it says, here's what they call themselves. TheRealReal is the world's largest online marketplace for authenticated consigned luxury goods. So that's it in a nutshell. They're a consignment operation, and at the time that this went out, that's what they said that they were. They were consignment, and authenticated luxury was their bailiwick. Also, says we are revolutionizing luxury lease. I can't talk. We are revolutionizing luxury resale by providing an end-to-end service that unlocks supply from consigners and creates a trusted, curated online marketplace for buyers globally. So that's what they're saying that they're doing. Now, for Poshmark, what they're saying from their S1 is, quote, we are a social marketplace that combines the human connection of a physical shopping experience with the scale, reach, ease, and selection benefits of e-commerce. And in doing so, we bring the power of community to buying and selling online. So there you have it. Poshmark is about community, and it's about reselling, and TheRealReal is about consignment. Now, time has passed since TheRealReal posted their S1 publicly, and now they're trading. A lot has happened with them, and they have definitely tweaked their business model. They are not 100% consignment, and they do now offer opportunities for people to to sell with them to get money up front. But I heard from one of their earnings calls that it's a lot of people that do that. It's really more of a way to get them engaged, and it's like a foothold into them as a potential consignor, that most people object to the amounts that they offer people and don't actually accept it. And yeah, that's one of their big things. So they offer very little compared to what you might be able to get on your own for buying your things outright. Potentially you'd make more if you consign, which is why people don't want to do it. And the pricing on RealReal is probably the number one complaint, more so than even, oh, you sold me something that wasn't authentic. So that's a very different set of objections for people than you have on Poshmark. Poshmark isn't buying anybody's inventory. Poshmark is like eBay. It's basically a platform where, as sellers, they do all the work. They're choosing the inventory, they're finding the inventory, they're posting the photos, they're creating the listings, they're corresponding with potential customers, and it's more of an eBay play. And so that's very different. So when you think about the potential of these two companies down the road and how different they are, it's very, very, very important to understand that. So the RealReal, as someone who consigns, the model is they have to take possession of your goods. So you're either going to mail it in, someone's going to come to your house and pick it up. It's got to or you're going to bring it to them at one of their drop-offs in the cities where they have locations. So that's three ways. There's probably others, but three ways that they're going to get your items. Once they get your items, they have to go through a vetting process. They have to inspect every item to make sure that it isn't altered, that there's no tears or stains or unseen problems. So that takes time. Once they discover things, if any, that they're unable to use, they have to get those back to you, because their rules are to send it back to the owner, not to take possession of it and to get rid of it in some other way. So that's something that they have to do. Now, as someone who's worked with the RealReal for a number of years as a vendor consigner, I can tell you there's lots of problems with their model. And the number one issue as a seller is the price. And the RealReal touts the fact that they sell items within like 3 days or 3 months or whatever it is. They want to get it done really quick. But the real story is they get your thing sold in 3 minutes. And the reason they get it sold in 3 minutes is because it's so grossly underpriced that people are falling all over themselves to buy it. And so as a result of something being grossly underpriced and with so many things subject to their 20% incentive coupon, by the time you get your payment, you're not making anything. And there's been a number of stories where people have complained to them about not receiving enough for their things where the proper research wasn't done. And as a vendor, what I've learned is they'll give you this option and you really got to use it, because when I haven't used it, I've been burned totally. I'll give you an example. So let's say I give an item to them that I think they should be selling for at least a couple $100, and they're going to price it at, say, $105. That is a problem, because at $105, you fall below their threshold, and the most I'm going to earn is 40%. So take the $105 item, less the 20% coupon, and then less the 60% that the RealReal is going to keep. My 40% is going to be, what, $20 or something? That's not enough. It's not enough for something that perhaps would have cost $600 retail, and they're going to choose to underprice it so severely that I'm not going to receive any money. So I've seen that play out numerous times. I'm getting $16 for a pair of Max Mara pants that I sold. So, there's something grossly wrong with the model. And the problem is when you're growing a company and you have to find ways to keep people buying, the only way to do that in luxury, because nobody needs anything. This is a non-essential product. Nobody needs this. We learned during COVID what was essential and not. And I certainly know my luxury consignment shop was shut down because we are non-essential. Sure, we could have argued that we weren't, but quite honestly, there's no milk and bread in my store. People don't need a Chanel handbag, and they don't need a Louis Vuitton handbag, and they don't need a Fendi jacket. They just don't need it. And so when you're thinking about what's essential, what's not essential, and how this all plays out, this is very, very important to keep in mind. But that said, people who buy these luxury products, depending on the situation, are going to be very intrigued to learn what they will ultimately get of their items. So The RealReal is really good at selling a lot of stuff very quickly, but that's because it's so underpriced. And when people have come into my consignment shop who have been RealReal consigners, they say, I'm coming here because The RealReal sold my things so cheaply. And one woman, I'll never forget, gave me an example of some $3,000 to $4,000 coat that they sold for $300. And she said she just about was sick to her stomach when she got her check. So this is a big problem because The RealReal has to continue to grow. They have to continue to push things through their marketplace. And the only way to get me to buy something that's non-essential is it's so underpriced, I don't have a choice. And so there's a lot of competition on that site. And as someone who's a professional reseller of Moschino and other top brands, what I've learned about The RealReal is if you do not have a subscription to their 24-hour preview, you will never find anything good on that site because it's gone. And twice a day they do drops. And I know because I'm on those drops twice a day that I'm competing against people for the opportunity to buy something that's completely underpriced. I've seen John Galliano gowns on there for under $300. The person who's buying that gown for $200 and something is the reseller or the stylist who's going to mark it up to $3,000 or $5,000 or put it on the first dibs and sell it in a primary market. It is not the person who's probably going to be wearing that gown who's buying it. All of these vintage stores, all of these top people who are getting this rare vintage, they're going right to The RealReal at 2 drops a day, and they're clicking like crazy to buy it before someone else. And I know that because that's what I do. I'm in competition, and many times the most beautiful things I've ever seen, they're gone in seconds. In seconds, they're in somebody's cart. In seconds, they're on hold. And so the only way that happens is it's so underpriced. And what I've noticed for things that aren't underpriced is that they're on there for a little while. It might take a month. It might take 2 months. It's going to take a few months to sell the same gown that you sell in 3 seconds at $235 or $295. If you price it at $1,400, it's going to sit there for a couple of months before it sells. And so you've got this push-pull between their need to move products super fast all the time and continue to grow and the need for the person who's selling it to feel like they've gotten enough for their items. Now, Poshmark doesn't have that problem because they're not a consignment model. They're not deciding on the price. You are deciding as the seller. You are the owner. You have control, and you don't have control with The RealReal unless you insist. And what I mean by that, as a vendor, I can, before I send something in, ask them to give me a price on an item. If I've got the energy to do it. It's a lot of work to put together the spreadsheet of everything you want to send them. And if you want price ahead of time, you have to send them photos, and they send it off to whoever's in charge, and they come back with estimates. And I have done that in a couple of cases for very expensive items where I wanted to insure, but I haven't done it for things a notch down. And last time I sent them a batch, and I don't know why I wasn't even thinking about that I could have empowered myself to do it, but I was just like, oh, whatever, I'll just send it. Let's just see what they do. Everything I percent price point, which meant it was priced under $125. And with that silly 20% off coupon they use to make everyone buy, I'm getting just crickets for my things. And the guy, my rep, I called him and he says, sure, if you want to come back to me with the list, it's just, he says, remember, it's something you're supposed to do ahead of the sending it in to me, not after they've taken the time to price it. So I told myself, whatever, I'm not going to do it. I'll just let it ride. And then I have wonderful fuel for my podcast to tell you how little I got for things, you know. So selling a Lafayette 148 jacket, and, you know, getting $26 for that after fees, it's a problem. It's a problem. It doesn't make me want to send them anything else. And I'm just one example of many, many, many people who sell on The RealReal. So until they change their model, and my hope is that they will one day allow people to post their own things on their platform, maybe, you know, have some sort of very strict formatting so that you fit their template. If they would allow me to do the work, yeah, let me do it. Let me put it up there, and let me wait until I can find that buyer is willing to pay a premium, and do not give my things away. So that's their number one problem, because what I've learned from my own consignment shop is the issue is not finding the buyer, because the minute I hit go and I push that button and go live online, the entire world is at my fingertips, right? Well, most of it anyway, because we're pushing on eBay. The issue continues to be, and if you listen to the earnings call for Poshmark and, for The RealReal, you will hear them continue to say the issue is to continue to acquire the consignors who have the goods over and over again. Now, the problem with that, and the reason why over time I've been very concerned about their business model, is that is the hardest part of it, because it's finite. And when you think about why people consign, then you understand just how finite that group is, and why they need to hire staff, and why they need to have so much effort to find the goods in the first place. And that is because people are selling for many reasons. One, I've changed sizes. Two, I'm moving. Three, I'm getting a divorce and I need money. That's what people have told me in my shop. One, it's a state where someone's died. There's so many reasons, but they're finite. So you get in this state, say you get 500 pieces, they're gone in 3 seconds because you've underpriced them on the website. Now you have to get another estate and another estate and another estate. And each time you've got to vet, you've got to look through every piece. Like, it's so much work to get this stuff, to examine this stuff, to process it, price it, put a description, get it photographed, get it listed, get it stored, get it inventoried, and get it back out to the people who's going to buy it. And then it's going to get returned, and you got to start all over again. And one of the things for The RealReal I've noticed as someone who's bought on there for so long and for so often is that I've got many things, problems. These were things I didn't want to send back, things because I'm not buying anything I don't want to keep. And it's got stains, or it's got a problem, or something was not disclosed, or it looks so much worse than the photo, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm sending it back. And the funny thing is I will write a detailed description of what's wrong with this. And because I'm on the site so often, I'll see the same item back up with the same condition, the same problem, in the same description. So no one even takes the time to address what I said was wrong with it. There's just too much volume. They have a big return rate at The RealReal. And I know it's because people have, missed the opportunity to describe the item well enough that the person's having to send it back. And that's really, really, really a shame. Let's go to the Poshmark model. The Poshmark model, which is very attractive. And when I think of them about a stock in the future for them, I get really excited because they're not the consignment model. Really, they're the technology platform from which all the sellers are posting their items, much like eBay. They are different from eBay because of the social component, but aside from that, the technology-wise, they're giving me a platform. Now, the platform is not global yet. The platform is only in the United States and in Canada. They don't currently have cross-border where I can buy from a Canadian seller, but that's in the works. They have plans to go into the United Kingdom, Australia, to go in many, many, many places and grow. And that's what's so exciting, because the platform works. I know it because I've been on it. It's the easiest thing I've ever seen. You can, they send you the label, you slap it on, and you take it to the post office where they have negotiated special rates with the USPS, and that's where you can send your package. I think over time as they grow, they're going to have to come up with more than one shipping option. I think they're going to have to come up with ways to be cross-border, and I think that over time as they work all this out, we will be able to do that. We'll be able to buy from Canada. We'll be able to buy from the United Kingdom and they from us. And as that grows and as their market grows, then I can see my sales increasing, because right now I'm limited to whoever's in the United States to buy the 1,500 items that I have listed on Poshmark, even though there's an appetite for what I have all over the world. So I'm getting ready for that. As a matter of fact, I've done other podcasts suggesting that people just start listing, because when they open up the floodgates for the Canadian shoppers to buy from us, you need to be ready. You need to have your inventory up there. So I have 1,500 items right now, and my goal is to hit 2,000. We'll see how that goes in 2021. But the models are so very different. And so when I think about the issues that I've had with Poshmark, they've just been so minor. You know, all the items on Poshmark are final sale. But with most things, there's really never really a final sale, is there? I mean, if something has a problem, then the person who bought it has the opportunity to raise that issue with Poshmark, and then they address it. And I think it's a super fair system to do that. So occasionally things will get sent back, and it might seem unfair or whatever, but I'm not concerned about it, because as an eBay seller, I get things sent back periodically, and you just have to be willing to take that back and move on. So definitely that is something that I think they actually do a really good job with. But if you look at their own information on the S1, that Poshmark does talk about that fraud is an issue for them, but I'm assuming it's an issue for everyone. Bad credit cards, bad claims on things that aren't received, in fraudulent. There's all kinds of fraud that happens. And as a sidebar, I'm always concerned about artificial intelligence and technology, because we can't even keep regular fraud out of online banking and systems. And so I don't know how they think robots are going to handle the world, because we can't even get something as simple as what's going on now to happen without problems. So that will be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, fraud's an issue. Bad returns are an issue. But again, you make a budget for that. You have a line item for things need to be returned. You make good on that, and you carry on. Now, Poshmark, one of the criticisms for them is that they don't have anyone you can pick up the phone and call. And perhaps over time they'll change that. Certainly going public, perhaps they'll do something where they can be more accessible. But with eBay, I can pick up the phone. With TheRealReal, I can pick up the phone. I can pick up a regular number or even call my rep. But with Poshmark, there's no one to call. And I think that's something that as they grow, that perhaps they will address that and see more accessible to people. One of the things about Poshmark is that their percentage of 20% is one of the highest around. I think it's kind of interesting that they started high with the potential of having to lessen that amount versus starting lower and having the potential of having to raise it. So if I had to choose one, I'm glad they were higher. I might go lower. And they've said as much on their S1, because they might, in order to be more competitive and to attract more sellers, have to reduce that percentage. And I'm all for that as a seller. I'm all for it. I've just pretty much worked in this higher percentage into my price, so I'm really not concerned that they take 20%. I would love it if they took less, don't get me wrong, but I basically build it into my price. But yeah, in order to grow, they're going to have to continue to get more sellers. And the thing is with this type of business is that it's, the economy, this whole idea of sustainability and the whole idea of repurposing what's already out there. This is a big sea change. It's the huge change in consumer behavior. And there's so many reasons why it's an attractive thing to do. whether it's the fact that you're finding something interesting and unique that someone else doesn't have. Perhaps you're replacing something that you love that is no longer available on the marketplace. Perhaps it's an opportunity for you to earn some extra money on the side, especially now when, with millions of people who are unemployed due to COVID. I mean, the thing is with Poshmark, you can actually build an entire business on there. It's like they give you a blank sheet of paper and they say, do what you will with it. You can build your business with us as much as you want. If you just want to sell a few things, great. If you want to sell wholesale, we're behind you. If you want to sell new items with tags and have a boutique, we're with you there as well. As much as you want to grow your platform, Poshmark's there to help you do that. And I think that's a fantastic, because it really allows you as a seller to determine how much effort you're going to put into it to make it grow. And I think that's a really interesting way to do it, because it really does level the playing field. There's some aspects about Poshmark that, as a seller, are not pleasant. The fact that you have to share your closet, the fact that the way that they've done this is that, if you look at the numbers, there's just millions of listings, just millions and millions of listings, right? And you've got one little pair of, Adidas tennis shoes. How is anybody going to find your shoes, right? And so this is the thing with Poshmark, is that a lot of complaining in the selling community that the model requires you to share your items, to physically go in there, push a button, and share it to the community. But it doesn't go to the whole community. It's going to your community of followers. And the way around the sharing being seen to just your community of followers is, if you're searching on, say, Adidas tennis shoes, yours is going to show up on the list depending on how new it is on the platform. So if you've got an old listing, nobody's seeing your tennis shoes. If you've shared them, maybe someone's going to see them. If in that moment they went in searching on Adidas tennis shoes and yours was under recently shared, because that's their default. So the whole process of having your inventory found is so different than other platforms, say like eBay, where they now have this new promoted listings model. But you have to put in the work, and they're very proud of the fact that they keep it an even playing field. They're very proud of the fact that there's no favoritism currently on Poshmark, that you have to share your closet. You have to follow people and get followers, which is basically advertising your items. You have to come up with a way to do that. And so as a seller, it's quite exhausting, this model that they currently have of having to share. Now, there are now some outside companies that you can use to share your products, as long as they're human beings. It isn't against their terms of service. I mean, you can't use robots or bots or anything like that, but as long as you've got real people doing it, it seems to be within their terms of service. But the fact that these companies can even crop up and exist shows you what a problem it is to share their items in order to get them seen and sold. And as they attract new people who don't understand this aspect of it, they're not going to understand. I've attracted a number of people to sell on the platform, and none of them have had the success I have, because they haven't gotten past this sharing thing. So if you list a few items on Poshmark and nothing ever sells, or even if one thing sells, you don't have a way to grow your business unless you learn how to use the platform, and you learn how to share, and learn how to move your merchandise through closet clear outs and different things that they have to incentivize people. And there's a lot of training that needs to take place. Poshmark, in terms of the community around it, reminds me of Tesla, and how just wonderfully crazed all these people are that love Tesla. I am one of them, by the way. But the community, in the way that it currently exists, has done so much of the advertising for Poshmark for it. So in the sense where Poshmark has had paid advertising in the past, I don't know what level they have now, but there's been this huge millions of people in their community, and so many of them have taken to the airways and to YouTube. People like myself, I have a podcast and a YouTube channel, JennieGirl's Closet. But so many of these people are advocating on behalf of Poshmark, and they're the ones doing the training. they're the ones telling people how it works. And as someone who's seen just thousands of videos on reselling and consignment, it's the one thing that's the head scratcher to me, and certainly something that I've written to them about when we've been surveyed is I don't understand why Poshmark doesn't have their own set of training videos for their own platform. And they do live things now where they interview a lot of sellers. They have put up snippets of their annual conference, but there's not a training video on Poshmark on how to use Poshmark. And it's just head scratching to me because, you know, there's an algorithm involved. There's all kinds. They hint, they glean. You can glean. You can draw your own conclusions. But Poshmark never comes out and says you need to share this many times, do this, 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 and this in order for your items to have the most possibility to sell. They don't do that. They don't have a training video. You can't get on the phone with anyone and ask. And so that is something I've always found very interesting is that, well, why is that? Why is it that Poshmark can't do a training video for me on how to optimize my selling experience? Why is that not available to me? What is the secret, you know? And so you have to rely on the Poshmark community to find out. And I have to go to YouTube University, youtube.com, things out. And the problem is, the people on there may or may not be qualified to tell me. And I have to watch, you know, hundreds and hundreds or thousands of videos to figure out what to do. And I did figure it out, but I'm exhausted by the process. So the community is very vocal, and the community, in the sense whether it's a support or a critique of Poshmark, the good thing about that community, it's always in support of Poshmark. And there's nothing that I would say about TheRealReal or eBay or Poshmark that wouldn't be in hopes that they would change that to improve the experience for me as someone who's on the platform. It's not criticism for no reason. It's an opportunity for people to listen and make changes. And Poshmark really listens to their community. I can tell you that. They have made a lot of changes on their platform, and I'm sure there's so many more to come to make it easier, to enhance it, to fill it out, so to speak, by making tweaks and changes. Something as simple as going from 8 pictures to 16. The fact that we can now do draft listings, the fact that you can now do a timed listing on Poshmark. There's so many little things that they've added to help the user experience that are terrific, that I know that there are many, many more to come in the future that I really look forward to. But yeah, you don't have any of this on TheRealReal. If you just want to close your eyes, send them in some inventory, let them do all of this work, let them sell it, let them market it, let them process it, let them do all of that, because you don't want to be the seller. You don't want to put yourself through those paces. That's fine, but you may not get nearly as much money for doing so. So you have to weigh that out. And for me, what I've tried to do is I always try to sell everything on my own first before I ever send it to another platform like a RealReal or, say, a ThreadUp, because I know in those environments I'm losing my control. And so if I can do it that way, I can be more okay with what's happening and what I get out of it. Because, yeah. And so this last time when I sent my box to TheRealReal, I sent them some things that I didn't want to try to sell myself, because specifically this Lafayette 148, because this is not a brand that really is works within my closet, but I'll pick it up from time to time when I find it at a good price. So I'm really disappointed, because I know if I'd have done it myself, I'd have paid over $100 on something I'm going to get $20-something for. And so, you know, you have to weigh that. And people who don't know, don't know. People who've never tried to consign before, if their first experience is TheRealReal, they're going to be mighty shocked at how little they get. RealReal does a lot of what they call education about what something's worth, which I think is completely flawed. They're sitting there like 90% of original retail. It's just not possible. there's always exceptions like Chanel and Louis Vuitton, but like to tell me that some $1,000 coat should be 80 to 90% off of retail now, should be $100 to $200, and then you're going to take 50 to 60% of that and leave me with the rest? I don't think so. And people are getting smarter. So in the sense that on Poshmark, you can sell the same thing you were going to put on TheRealReal, sell it on your own, put it on Poshmark. You'll make a lot more money, but you have to put in that effort. You're going to have to take the pictures. You're going to have to take the listing. You're going to have to take the measurement. So it's this huge trade-off between the two. And for myself personally, I'm always trying to figure out how to maximize the money that I make on something. And what's kind of helpful is that I determined a long time ago that I was trying to go for the person who'd be willing to pay a premium. And that's really helpful because it helps me sort of wade through lowball offers and people don't want to pay much for something or to be selling to other resellers. I don't want to do that. And so I'm okay with that. Therefore, I have to wait a little longer for things to sell. But that's okay. That's my model. I'm not trying to sell it in 3 seconds. But yeah, so the two platforms are superiorly different, very, very different. One, the consignment model, where you don't really have control. You've got a company working really hard to prove themselves and build new locations and keep selling, so quickly. Always have to balance how the consignor and that relationship, and that has got to be exhausting. I mean, if I had to make a change for TheRealReal, I would be buying things outright for cash, and I would be making offers that people couldn't refuse, and I would be controlling it because the fewer things that, the fewer people you have to satisfy, I think the easier it would be. You also have the flexibility of pricing. If there's some way that they wouldn't have to keep pretending that they can sell things so quickly, I mean, it's such a fallacy. It's to me the biggest thing in the world is that they think that they got to sell it in 3 seconds. You don't. I mean, I buy things on TheRealReal. I'll pay their lowest price they like to list things for is $50. So I'll buy something for $65, $80, $100, less my 20% coupon. So maybe I have an average of $50 to $100 in something, and then I'm going to resell it for $800. So in that trend, and I have things I think I had something I spent $500 on, a Moschino leather jacket and a pair of shorts, and I sold it on Poshmark for $2,500. So after the fees, I made $2,000, and I had bought it on TheRealReal for around $400 and something. So in that scenario, I made the most money. I made more in TheRealReal, and I made more than whoever consigned that with them because I was selling to the person who'd be willing to pay a premium. And there's something severely wrong with that. Wrong with that in the sense of I'm TheRealReal trying to grow my business. I am consistently and daily underpricing everything, just about every single thing in my online platform. And, that is something that you learn over time what's valuable. It's something that one size doesn't fit all. And, I know from buying Moschino that they'll overprice something, they'll underprice something. The same thing is different prices, and it's because different people are pricing it, inside their system. And I'm waiting every day I'm waiting for the mistakes. I'm just waiting for them to come up online. I'm like, I don't know why they think this thing's worth $50, but okay, less my coupon, that's $40 plus shipping and tax. So, yeah, big issue. So anyway, Poshmark will be going public in 2021 if all goes as planned. It's going to be very exciting to see how their stock does, how it holds up to that of TheRealReal. And again, same, but different. They're both online platforms, but they run very differently. They go about their work very differently, and it's a very different model for the public. So it'll be very interesting to see where these two end up. if I had to summarize what I've talked about today, is Poshmark, reselling platform. The sellers do the work. We take the pictures. We write the descriptions. We choose what's up there. We fulfill the orders. We deal with the shipping, the packaging, the labeling. We do all of that. They make it easy, and we do all of that. We communicate with the buyers. We have to do the sharing of the closet, the following of other people on there so they can find us. And we have to build our platform, build our closet, build our brand, build our reputation. We have to do all that work. They take 20% for supplying the platform, and it just keeps moving forward. With TheRealReal, I send them my stuff. They do all the work. They do the pricing, the photographing, the description, the listing, the fulfilling of the order, the paying me. But the one thing they've got to do is satisfy me, and that is very, very hard to do when they're trying to move so much product so quickly at such low prices. And the fact that they have so many people they have to satisfy, because you have to continually get more consigners because it's a finite number of items from any one given source. So that's the difference. And that's it. Something to think about as Poshmark goes public. There'll be so many comparisons of these two companies. I just thought I would bring that out now. I will do other comparisons with Poshmark and other companies down the road. But hopefully, if you haven't subscribed, please do to this Closet Conversations podcast. If you like what you heard, give it a thumbs up, give it a 5-star review. It's always very helpful. If you are listening on YouTube channel, and also give it a thumbs up. And that's it. This is Jennie Walker with Closet Conversations. I look forward to having you with me on a future episode.
Hey, Georgia, Election Day is Tuesday, January 5th. This time we get to pick our 2 U.S. senators. So take some time, make your plan, and make sure you get to the polls. Remember, who you vote for is a secret, but whether or not you voted is public record. So grab 3 friends or family members and make sure your voice and theirs are heard when you go vote on Tuesday, January 5th. Paid for by Majority Forward.